So, my name is Fanuel, and I welcome you to the final session of port and custom operations, where we look at other considerations in ports and customs operations. And we've looked at how ports and customs issues are, freight and passenger considerations, the documentation for international travels, and this will be our final recording or video, and now it talks about some important issues that we have not really discussed in detail. And these issues will include unitization and consignment monitoring, digitizing at the port, maintenance, and also career opportunities in ports and customs operations. So when we talk about unitization, what does it mean? Okay, unitization basically, we are talking about consolidating multiple or smaller activity units of a particular consignment into one. When you put them together, it's easy to transport. If you have 5 bags of rice that you need to move from, let's say, Ghana to Germany, it's good to put them together and then tie them if you have to put them on pallet and all that. So try to put these things together for easy carriage is what we are referring to as unitization. Unitization actually helps to ensure efficient and quicker movement of goods from one point to another. Okay. And unitization in shipping, we are looking at grouping of cargo perhaps into smaller units or units that makes the whole consignment quite manageable. So you can group cargo together, such as onto a pallet. You can wrap them. Not all cargo, we are looking at the consignment here. You are going to take. We can wrap them, label them, put them together. The bigger units can more or can easily be handled by a machine than human beings. So we can have forklifts. So you can put them together, and then it has not become spread all over the place. Yeah, basically that's the concept of unitization. And we have several types of cargoes. We have general cargoes, and then we also have bulk cargoes. So we have what we call unitized cargoes, where things can be put together, like those cargoes that work with the break bulk cargoes, where we can store things in drums, in bags, in pallets, in boxes, and all that kind of arrangement, right? Then we have new bulk, which takes unitized cargo in terms of in commodities such as lumber, paper, steel, and vehicle. They are in the new bulk cargoes. Then we have containerized cargoes, where things are in containers. So these are some of the, and then we also have bulk cargoes, where the whole ship itself is a container or a cargo containing the things like liquid and dry bulk. So the liquid, we look at petroleum, liquefied petroleum gas, chemicals, vegetable oil. Sometimes it is transported in large quantities like that, not in containers, but when you get to the destination, it is now offloaded onto another machine that would now help to break the bulk. Okay. Then we have dry, such as coal, iron ore, grains, bauxite, sand, can also be transported without being put in smaller bags. It can be placed directly onto the cargo in several components or compartments, and then when it gets to the destination, it is taken off for use. And those are some of the options you can have. So you can see here machines that are carrying containers and unitizing them for further shipping. Okay, so we also have under unitization the concept of containerization. Basically, it's trying to put your things or your freight or your items in a container, so it is easy to carry. Basically, that's what we're talking about. So cargo packaging, utilization of cargo. So when you get the things in a box or in a container, you can easily put them in a cargo. Then it's easier to move around. You've seen types of pallets here. So these are pallets that can be used for unitization of cargo. See, this pallet does not have holes in it like the previous one. You see, this one has holes in it, so it can be used for. These ones are for items that the holes may disturb its stability. So you have different types. This is a plastic pallet, also useful. Then this may be hybrid types. So there are different types of pallets you can come across. So packaging as unitization. So when we are trying to package things, it's also a process of unitizing things. So whenever you want to unitize something, also you can use packaging as a way of doing it. So when packaging your goods or your consignment, you have to ensure that your consignment is properly placed and kept at the right place. You can see that containers, each container can have different items in it. And those containers can also be grouped together into a group of containers. And then this group of containers can also be now placed on a ship. So you can see from the picture, from a single container to multiple containers group, and then to the containers on the ship that is moving towards its destination. Yeah, so these are some ways we can look at. So you can see a typical port where you have a lot of containers. Looks like a marine or seaport, or yeah. And so the other topic we want to talk about is consignment monitoring and tracking. So you see, when your consignment are in transit, you need to monitor and track them to be sure that they are safe and they are arriving on time. So there are a lot of tracking devices that we'll use. These days, because of IT, technology has made it easier for us to track goods in transit. There are some videos that we will watch to explain some of these things again. Then digitizing port operations. So digitizing port operations, ports generally are important areas where we need to digitize, because the operations are very, very volatile, and they are changing by the day. So in port operations, we can digitize so many processes, right? There are technological breakthroughs that help us to digitize port operations. For example, if you look at this particular place, okay, because of the way there are a lot of things scattered at the port, if it's not digitized, there can be mistakes. But if there is digitized, it's easy to monitor and control from time to time. Yeah. So this also has some videos to watch about digitization. Then, sorry. Okay. So then we come to maintenance of the ports. So maintenance is also very important, because see the way we have a lot of things and equipment at the ports. If we don't maintain the ports properly, we are going to run into troubles. So a typical port like this, the ground must be well maintained, and there must always be checks to see that the concrete system, the transportation system, the equipment are all up to date and working efficiently to avoid accidents and breakdowns in the middle of activities. Then docks and terminals. So when you get to the port, you see docks, which is terminals. Normally, when the ship come with the containers or the consignment, it has to be at the dock. Okay, so when it's there, the things can easily be taken onto the terminal where they are stored. The terminals normally have warehouses, temporary storage, until they are moved to their consumers. So maintenance issues are also very important. Here you can see the ground well kept, yeah, at the port. Airport and maintenance. It's a big issue, and it's very expensive to maintain. When you look at airports around the world, the taxiways, the landing, and the bridges that we use in the airport system are very expensive. But it's important that they are all well maintained to avoid any problems at the airport. Okay, so you can see all these facilities that are needed to be maintained at the ports. See this? Okay, it's a typical terminal, airport terminal. We have the check-in point, check-in counters and all that, machines and all that. Now we can have the gates are there, gate D, gate E, show you where you are going to. And all these systems must be checked regularly to ensure that it will provide important information to travelers. Then, the last part of this discussion is about career opportunities in port and customs. So there are many endless lists of careers, but we will look at, for example, working with the port authority like the customs, for example, Ghana Port and Custom Harbors Authority. So there are options there. Then we have ferry companies. Then we have cruise line operators. We have transport firm. We have stevedoring company responsible for loading and unloading at the port. Then we have freight forwarders. Then we have warehouse operators. Then we have ship repair and maintenance companies and other options. So as an individual who want to go into port and customs operation, you could pick career from either of these areas. So there are videos of leading ports in the world. Yeah, you can look at the leading ports in the world. And on that note, thank you. And I wish you the best in your exams, the final video on ports and customs operations.